All right, folks, welcome in. This is Downtown Lakers. I am Jake Hellenbogen. He is Ethan Shirazi, and we're getting you ready because the Lakers got a date with the Timberwolves, although they will not be going back to Minnesota, despite what I don't know if you saw that, Ethan, but I thought that was funny. Jared Vanderbilt, of course, has
Right after the game.
he has a little beef with them, we'll say, but they're coming to LA. The Lakers took hold of the 3 seed. They didn't look back. And the Timberwolves, in a surprise, because I'll be honest with you, I didn't see this one coming. I did not see this.
I didn't either, man.
I don't know how I feel about it. We're going to get into it. Before we do, I just want to ask you guys, if you're watching on Twitter, first off, thank you. But second, be sure after the show to head on over to YouTube and give us a sub. We're growing our YouTube channel slowly but surely at 250 subscribers. So be sure to do that. Also, if you're on YouTube, be sure to subscribe if you're already there and you haven't already. But also hit the thumbs up button because it allows YouTube to recommend us to other people. Rob Pelinka, I'll let you do the honors.
Hey, man, this morning before we actually went live, which we saw from Twitter on Sean, was that we just extended Rob Pelinka, which is honestly not a surprise. He's been a phenomenal executive for the last 6-7 years. And obviously, with the addition of Luka Doncic, getting that guy, and with a huge boost for our team, getting the playoffs and getting the 3rd seed. And man, I'm honestly very happy about that. People hate on him, but he's done a phenomenal job ever since going to championship 2020, got AD with the trade, then now getting Luka Doncic with clear championship contenders that we can go a long run in the playoffs, man.
Yeah, I mean, once he got Luka, I think it was pretty set in stone this guy was going to be around for a while. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I already felt that way beforehand, but now, I mean, come on. So, yeah, I like Pelinka. I have no issue with this. President of basketball operations. I mean, he kind of already was, right? So I mean, it's not anything really that different.
I mean,
but
when Magic was here, he was doing a good job, but until you traded Zubas for Mike Muscala, was a terrible trade. And when Rob took over, he did a phenomenal job. Like I said, getting all these trades, acquisitions, creating championship rosters. So I think it's here to stay for a very long time, as you know.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. So yeah, Pelinka, he got the extension right before the playoffs, but let's talk about the playoffs. And I guess before
playoff time, man.
I guess before we do that, right? Who did you think the Lakers were ultimately going to play? Because that was wild. I didn't expect all that to go down the way it did.
It was between the Warriors, Nuggets, and T-Wolves. And then when I was watching the Clippers versus Warriors game, I was like, honestly, I think the Warriors are probably going to take this one. And all of a sudden, the Clippers came back and won that game, and ultimately set up a matchup with us versus T-Wolves. But it was going to be a hard, challenging series no matter who we play. I mean, T-Wolves are a phenomenal team. They have length. They have obviously Anthony Edwards, that's been a stud for the last ever since he got drafted. They got Julius Randle from a Laker that he's gonna trying to get revenge on us. But man, I'm excited, man. It's gonna be challenging, but I think we're gonna take it in 6.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough one. We have a lot of different things that we could talk about, but let's start off with this. The regular season series I always find is very interesting. Looking at the NBA and looking at not really baseball, but looking at the NBA and the NHL. I always say regular season series that normally does have some sort of hold on the actual playoff series. Unless there's a serious trade that went down, which there was. The Lakers, if I'm not mistaken, only played once against the Timberwolves with Luka. They played 3 times before January, so they only got them once with Luka. In that game, the Lakers won 111-102. Beforehand, the Lakers took the first game of the year, 110-103. Then after that, the Timberwolves took 109-80, and then 97-87. And then the Lakers, of course, won 111-102. Based on the season series, it's 2-2. But I don't think it's actually 2-2 based on what this team is now.
Now. It's a whole different roster. Roster. I mean, like I said, last time we played him was, the first time Luka was on a roster. So it's a whole different squad. It's gonna be pretty challenging, like I said in the beginning, with like matchups, things like that. But also, I want to say that Teals have a very, very tall team. they have Nas Reed, Julius Randle, Rudy Gobert. It's gonna be tough to match up offensively and defensively against them, but I think we can do it as long as we play good defense, be consistent on offense. Then we're gonna get the job done.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the Lakers are going to win this series. The title, of course, of this live stream, if you're tuning in, how tough of a matchup did the Lakers draw in the Timberwolves? I think it's tough. I'm not going to lie to you. I do think it's tough. It doesn't mean I don't think they're going to win. I do think they're going to win. Look, what are the Timberwolves bringing to the table? They score a lot of points, right? They're averaging more than the Lakers per game. They don't shoot the ball as efficiently as the Lakers, and they rebound better than the Lakers. The lack of depth at center is going to come into play here, Ethan. I think when you look, it could pose an issue. The Timberwolves have Nas Reed and Rudy Gobert at the center position. They create havoc as well. Really can generate more steals than the Lakers and have more rim protection, obviously, with those two centers and then some of the other guys in the front court as well. But the Lakers' perimeter defense, this is going to be the deciding factor of this series.
I agree.
Opinion. You got to be able to contain Anthony Edwards. He's averaging nearly 28 this year, and in the playoffs, it's a whole different beast, man. This guy could go off for over 40 points. So,
right.
You know what that means. It's going to be a big time. Yeah, it's going to be a big time opportunity. And he has to come through, but Dorian Finney-Smith might be the most important player in this series.
Okay. Yeah, I would agree. As long as we get him open, in his corners and his wings. But it's all about the offense. Like Luka has to set pick and rolls to spread the floor, make people open in the corner, all that stuff. And especially for LeBron, he has to show up too. I know he will. So if those two show up, then the whole team will show up. As he goes, those guys make the team better. So expect us to play hard and get the job done. And then yeah.
So then after Edwards, man, looking at the Wolves, they rely on former Laker Julius Randle, who you mentioned previously, averaged 18.7. There are four others in double figures as well. So this is a balanced scoring team. Nas Reed could go into double figures. Jaden McDaniels averaged over 10 points per game, as well as Rudy Gobert and Dante DiVincenzo. So I think if Edwards doesn't have it, the Wolves have the guys to pick him up and pick up the slack. And, that balanced scoring will maybe steal them a game, even without Edwards. But I don't think you can win a series that way. So I think it really comes down to Edwards. He's going to have to really step up in a big way, show you he's a superstar of this league, which he is. And that's why I think, when you look at Dorian Finney-Smith, his job is crucial. It's not just to be the corner, three guy. He needs to shut down Anthony Edwards, and I believe they're going to put him all over Anthony Edwards, and we're going to see what ends up happening.
Yeah, and I agree. Another guy that we can put on Anthony Edwards is Vanderbilt. Like we've seen multiple times, like him against Curry, he's did a phenomenal job against the best player on each team. So that's another guy we can look out for that can guard Anthony Edwards, and we can pretty much spread the defense around. We can have Vando on Anthony Edwards. We can have Dorian Finney-Smith on him. We can have Gabe Vincent possibly on him. But it's gonna be hard either way. The guy can play everywhere on the court. So, but yeah, defense is a huge factor there.
No, I definitely agree with that. And so, kind of looking at it, from the scope of the Lakers, because we're given, a little bit of both, right? We were talking about the Timberwolves and what they do. I think McDaniels is really underrated, by the way.
He's underrated.
I think I don't want to say he's like the X factor. That sounds kind of redundant or whatever, but in a way he kind of is, right? So, this is a guy that I think, the Lakers need to be aware of. They need to be not worried about, but just aware of, I would say. But who is somebody else that really stands out to you that the Lakers need to worry about in this series, or at least be aware of?
I would say Julius Randle. he has been playing very well with the T-Wolves, but I've seen he has something to prove that that he wants to beat us, that his former team, also DiVincenzo as well. Because not to mention he was on that worst team that we beat in 2023 that we won in 6 games. So he obviously wants to get back at us for beating them. But I would agree that it was those 3 players. So yeah, man.
Now with Maxi Kleber,
Yeah, I saw that comment. Yep, good. That's actually a good question.
I saw that great comment. He participated in Tuesday's practice. There's not a clear timetable for his return, according to Daniel Starkind of Lakers Nation. Where are you on him? Do you think, because this guy's always been, I think it's very simple. If you're wondering who Maxi Kleber is as a player, he is a shooter. That is what he is. That's always what he's been.
Yeah, power forward center. You can spread the floor. He was also part of that Luka Doncic trade. So, it'll be nice to get him back so we can add, another guy to play center power forward. But I think it should be able to hopefully come back, hopefully by the second round. But it's not for sure yet. So we just gotta look up for different reports and hopefully get another update on him.
And I would say what you can expect from him is this isn't a guy that necessarily is going to have some great games. He's not going to average a ton of points. He's more of by situation. So if I need a 3 in a certain spot, he can do that. He can stretch the floor because he's 6'10". Like, that's what I see from him. I don't think he's going to have a significant role on this team. I saw some people on social like, oh, he's 6'10". Maybe no, he can't play center, guys. That's not happening. So
power forward at most, I would say.
Yeah. And I mean, really, he's just a power forward because of how tall he is. Like, he doesn't really play like a forward in that sense. So, yeah, I would say, I mean, he could have a role on this team. I don't want to say he can't.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of guys that are going to have a role in this team, and definitely there was some shock here. We're talking about Alex Len, who people wanted off this roster, and he made the roster over Trey Jemison. Did you agree with that?
I do and I don't, but at the same time, it's better just because Alex Len has more experience. He's been on like the Kings for a long time. He's been in like more of like a role than Jemison, but honestly, we just need length. That's all we need. I mean, to have him over Jemison. It's whatever, but we had no choice just because the trade that we got rescinded was annoying, but it is what it is. We just gotta have a center on our roster, and that's all that matters. But yeah,
it's gonna be big for Jackson Hayes. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh yeah, dude.
He's gonna have to step up because that is the one thing where you look at the Lakers and they give away leads at the end of games and they make things closer than they should. The big thing, the big question mark, the hurdle they have to get over, in my opinion, is the lack of depth at center. It's not a typical Lakers team in the past. I mean, this is an organization that is known for having some of the greatest centers to ever walk through those doors, but they don't have that. I like Jackson Hayes, but he doesn't really necessarily have that body to withstand 36 minutes a game, right? He's more kind of a slender build, doesn't really quite, he's not filled out like an Anthony Davis. And so when you're going up against a Rudy Gobert and you're going up against Julius Randle and you're going up against Naz Reid, that takes a toll on you. And so there is a concern over the course of a 7-game series that the Lakers might run out of guys at center because if Jackson Hayes gets into foul trouble, they're in trouble. If Jackson Hayes doesn't get into foul trouble and he just gets fatigued, they're in trouble. And if Jackson Hayes gets hurt, oh boy. So
God forbid.
That's the thing where it's like, obviously I feel good about the Lakers, but that is the one thing where I'm like, that to me is what would derail them. But answer this question for me, Ethan. If you were told somebody comes from the future and they come and they tell you the Lakers did not win the NBA Finals, what would be the first reason that you assume they didn't win?
It's an easy one, honestly. It's like you said, we're lacking height, lacking center. It's like you said, Lakers are, known to have the best centers to ever walk through those doors. And, having AD on that roster was, when we won, it was like he was a key part of it. JaVale McGee was a big part, Dwight Howard. So, it's key against, the T-Wolves since, like I said, they're a very tall team. And then, moving down the line, we're going to be playing better teams with better centers, better players overall. But I do believe that we can, win anyways. But it's all about the defense. And that leads into my next point. Us playing a small ball against a tall team is going to be hard. But as long as we, keep pace against them, have them play like the way that we play, it'll be not an easy out, but we can win.
Yeah, and now on the flip side of it, Ethan, if somebody comes back from the future and says, "Yeah, the Lakers won. They won it all." What was the reason to lead
The
you to
reason why,
believe?
because it'll be Luka Doncic. That's all I'm gonna say right there. It'll be Luka Doncic, LeBron carrying the whole load, and but it's gonna be hard like that.
Do you think they're going to average a combined 80 plus points per game in the playoffs?
Whew, 80 points, man. That's I
LeBron,
don't
Luka,
know.
and Austin Reaves.
Oh yeah, with Austin, yeah. Not just those two, but with Austin, absolutely. If they play like the way that they've been playing for the last like 10 games through when before the season ended, absolutely. As long as those three guys go off, then we're gonna be hard to beat and get at least to the Washington Conference Finals and then possibly NBA Finals. So those three guys are the key to the team. If those guys don't go off and don't play the way that they've been playing, then there's no way we win. So
Yeah.
yeah. If they go off, then we're good. If not, then we're screwed.
I would say to answer that question, I would say the reason is because I'd say Austin Reaves. We know what LeBron and Luka could do in the playoffs. It's actually kind of funny. I've been seeing, some clips and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, it's all the pressure's on Luka. It's like Luka was just on the grandest stage not that long ago, a year ago.
Right.
I don't see that. I think a lot of the pressure is on Austin Reaves because he knows LeBron, Luka, they're going to do their thing. They have a lot of experience. Austin Reaves doesn't have a ton of playoff experience. He has some, but he doesn't have a ton. And this is where you have a chance to showcase you've already taken the next step. Laker fans know this, right? Laker fans know this, but not everybody in the world knows this. And so, when they they tune in into this playoff game and they get to see Austin Reaves, I think he's going to turn some heads. And so,
everyone knows that, and I think it's the best third option in the league. It's like kind of like LeBron said that on the podcast with Steve Nash. The guy is like a straight freaking dog. I mean, everyone's seen what everyone's been seeing what he's been doing, man. I mean, the guy's an absolute dog. He can score, he can pass, he can make everyone better. And yeah, like we said, as long as it goes off, Luka goes off, LeBron goes off, it's gonna be hard to beat us.
Yeah, and I mean, keep this in mind. Luka, last time he was in the playoffs for a series with the conference of course, the finals, averaged 32.4 points, 9.6 rebounds, and 8.2 assists per game. So this is a guy that has obviously a lot of production experience. He definitely has the clutch gene. They have a lot of offensive firepower. They have the home court advantage. They have the coaching and chemistry benefit, I think. I think
Absolutely.
When you look at J.J. Redick, he's already one of the best coaches out there, And so I think you have the supporting cast. Like, you have guys like Finney Smith, like we talked about, and of course, Reaves. But you also have guys like Hachimura as well, who I think Rui is going to be important. I think his ability to shoot the ball, but keep in mind, they put Rui on Jokic, and of course, that was before JJ Redick, but he showed you that kind of flexibility in his game, like where he can add more to them. So, look, I think without a doubt, the Lakers have a lot going for them. They also have some stuff against them. That perimeter defense is going to be tested against Anthony Edwards, no doubt about it. The size, the rebounding, that is a concern, like I mentioned, and we've talked about. I mean, the Lakers are 24th in offensive rebounding, 18th in defensive. Minnesota's top half of the league in both, and rightfully so. When you have Gobert and you have Naz Reid, I mean, that's a really good 1-2 punch there at center. And it's kind of weird because in other years, I guess the Lakers having one center they can truly count on wouldn't kill them. But this is a league that's really starting to lean on kind of like a 1-2 punch at center.
Right.
And it really kind of puts them behind the 8 ball in that regard. And then you look at like what the Timberwolves are good at. Obviously, Anthony Edwards could score 55. I mean, he is an incredible player and, made plenty of threes this past year. He can really be a problem. He can break a game open. And then you have the defensive ability from, Minnesota. I mean, they were 4th in points allowed, And they have a guy that has been a defensive player of the year in Gobert, that Jaden McDaniels on the wing. I mean, they have guys. The rim protection is there, right? The versatility, the disruption. We talked about the steals. So, there is that. The depth is also there. Because I think with DiVincenzo, he gives you a guy that could drop 30 in a,
he can.
He doesn't do it every game, but he's capable. We saw him with the Knicks, right? He is capable of doing that. He actually, Randall has had 16 plus points in all of the games he's played against the Lakers this year. And then you have kind of that 3-and-D versatility from Nickeil Alexander-Walker. So they got some depth there for sure that, I'm keeping an eye on. They're also a really good 3-point shooting team, so that's something to keep in mind. So I think they're top 10 in the league actually in 3-point shooting.
It's definitely a more challenging series than what people think. People are gonna be like, oh yeah, it's T-Wolves. I'm sure they'll win in 5 games. I mean, it's like Shannon Sharp says Lakers are 5, but I don't believe that honestly. But it's at least 6 or 7 games in my opinion. But
it could go 7. It really
definitely
could go
can.
7. I hope it doesn't, but I think it could. One thing I will say, Julius Randle does not have good playoff consistency. As a matter of fact, he's not consistent at all in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's what everyone's been saying too. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's something that needs to be said. 34.4% field goal percentage, 3.9 turnovers per game in the playoffs. That's a little concerning if you're a Timberwolves fan. I mean, you know what you pay for, right? You know who he is when you get him. That's why he's not on the Knicks anymore. Obviously, if they could count on him in the playoffs, the Knicks never would have gotten rid of him. But there is that, and then you have that kind of experience gap as well, where the Lakers have a lot of guys that are really experienced, and then Timberwolves have some guys, but you look at, like, for instance, Mike Conley, who's older, but they don't have a ton, and so they're still a young team. I think the Lakers have the edge there, and I think really what it comes down to is this is going to be a really, really close series. I have the Lakers in 7. I do. I think if the Lakers won in 5, I wouldn't be surprised, but I just think this is going to be really close. There is a win apiece from these two teams. There's just one win separating these two teams. And because of how hectic the West was, the Wolves finished as the 6th seed.
Crazy, man.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, so I really think that this could be I think this could be a tough series.
It is.
So I got them in 7. I think we're going to see about every game is going to be about 4.5 to 7.5 points, differential.
Right.
That's how I see it. Maybe I'll give you this over under 1.5 overtime games. What would you take?
1.5 overtime games, huh? At least 2. I would say at least 2. Like maybe 1, maybe 2, but
you're taking the over?
I'll take the over.
Okay, I'm going to take the under, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
It's definitely thought-provoking, though, because, like, you think about it, and you're like, these two teams, they're not similar. They do things differently, but they both score about the same. They, I could really see it end up, I'm going to say they get 1 overtime game. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, at least 1. Probably at least 1. But I would say this. If we win 2 of the games at home for games 1 and 2, I think we win at least 5. In at least 5. If we win 1 and split one of the the games at home, it'd be Lakers in 7 or Lakers are 6, because then again we've always had trouble playing in Minnesota, like the last few years. So it's always been a tough environment over there. The fans give us a hard time playing in that city, but we just have to win 2 games at home and I think we're set. But doesn't mean that it's over. We still got to win in 4 games and then move on.
Yeah, and then the last thing I'll say as we wrap this up, as far as the Timberwolves and Lakers, right? Timberwolves were playing for seeding. The Lakers had the ability to bench their starters and sit them and rest them. Do you think that plays any sort of factor in the first game of this series?
I do, just because we've had a crazy amount of games in a certain amount of days, so it's important for us to have those rests, especially like I said with that many games in that many days, and that gives us a chance to go out at 100% each day, each game of the series. So it's important for LeBron to rest, especially when he's 40. So that's a big thing for us. So as you guys know.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
But at the same time, so sorry, but at the same time, if you don't play for a long time, it kind of like gives us like, the momentum goes down a little bit just because we've been playing at a high level for a long time. We just give a little break, but I do believe that getting rest is important.
Yeah, we've seen it go both ways. Different sports like we talk about all the time, football especially. Oh, do you rest players? Do you want to have that? Do you not want to? It's all interesting because I think it's really unpredictable. You're talking about 17 guys in the NBA on a team, and you just don't know how guys are going to come out after that. Some guys, they love their being refreshed and all that. Other guys don't. They want to play every day, and so yeah, I guess the hope is that their shots fall. We don't see any crazy rust, and yeah, I think it's going to be a fun series regardless. I have 7 and you have...
I'll probably say 6.
You have 6. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, I could see 6. I think it's going to be a really fun series. I think it's good for the league. I have a lot of respect for Anthony Edwards. Regardless, I'm a big fan of his game. I think he's good for the league as well. So, that's it. You got any final thoughts before we wrap this thing up?
Honestly, I don't. We just got to win tomorrow. That's my only thought right now. We just got to win tomorrow, and then win in 6 at least.
Sounds good to me. All right, guys. Well, we'll see you on the next one. We appreciate you guys tuning in, and this has been Downtown Lakers, and we'll see you guys in the next one.